Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Always love to see the chat buzzing. Before we even get started, hit the like button if you would. A couple of announcements before I bring in the stars of the show. Schedule-wise, we have a very busy SportsLine schedule. You might have seen it on Twitter. Of course, we've got this show, but at 10:30 on this channel, we've got the Early Wedge live chat. We're going to be talking, of course, the API, but also if you have questions about the Puerto Rico Open, it's going to be me and Rick on that one. Patrick is traveling, but just stay tuned to this channel after this show, and you'll roll right into the Early Wedge. And then we've got the UFC preview at 1:30. That one is going to be really exciting because we've got Danny Brasco, Josh Nagel, who's been with CBS for quite some time, not always forward-facing, and Gipper's Picks. Yes, Gipper's Picks from the chat, the capper from Discord. He's going to be on that show with Josh Nagel and Danny Brasco. Please make sure you tune into that one, again, on this channel at 1:30. And then 3:30, it's AMAGS, it's me, it's Mike McClure, who's also in the chat, by the way, and it's the sniper, Matt Snyder. We're doing more of our MLB futures and season previews. Can't wait for that. One more thing. Let's take a look at the recap screen because we're rolling into another positive day. I thought it was 5-1. Turns out it's 4-1 because Josh Giddey did not suit up yesterday. So we go 4-1, another winning day. It's been a nice week so far. We'll take it every single time. And I'll take these guests. I'll take these analysts. I'll take these experts every single time. It's Zack Cimini. It's Larry Hartstein. It's Martin Green. Larry, I got to start with you. Very exciting that we've got Josh Nagel, we've got Danny Brasco, and Gipper's Picks on the 1:30 show. Your reaction, my friend?
I don't know anything about UFC. I will be tuning into that show because I've worked with Josh for a long time, have encouraged him to get on some shows and share his knowledge. I mean, this guy is based in Reno, used to host a radio show with William Hill. I mean, he knows his stuff cold, so I'm excited for that. And, of course, Gipper's Picks getting a shot to show what he knows.
All right. And Larry, fun story for you. When you give out your picks later, you're going to be at one of the two games you have a pick on. And it's actually a very interesting sort of anecdote about home court advantage that you're going to give out. So everybody stay tuned for those college basketball picks. Zack Cimini, speaking of college basketball, you are our expert there, also in the NBA. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Speaking of UFC, my last UFC bet, this had to be 5 years ago. It was Derek Lewis, right? The beast, the big guy. That's his name. Okay, he was facing a tall fighter, and in the final seconds, the tall fighter was winning. Final seconds, like back away, back away, back away. We were on the strip for this fight, and of course, he let Derek Lewis pummel him in the final seconds. I'm sure someone in the chat remembers that fight, but since then have not done a UFC bet. In college basketball, I'm in a rhythm right now, but I did notice something with today's games because I get in such a routine. There's no Patriot League, there's no WCC, there's no Southern Conference, which you remember last Wednesday I gave out Wofford. So you got to be careful getting into the conference tournaments on these lighter schedules because Wednesday is usually a big board.
Yeah, very, very interesting. You're going to be hitting us with a NBA prop. By the way, Gipper's Picks, if you just arrived, it's 10:05. You're late because we just gave you a huge shout out. So make sure you go back at the very beginning of the show. We talked about that 1:30 show that you're, of course, going to be featured on. Again, Mike McClure is in the chat. Ask him anything you want regarding any sport, including golf. Reminder, our golf show at 10:30 right after this. Martin Green, Champions League. I know you have a couple of picks we're about to tee up, but any surprises yesterday? I know we got 4 games today. We had 4 yesterday. Anything jump out at you? Any surprise?
Yeah, everyone in the world bet on under 2.5 goals in the Arsenal game because they have no strikers. And Arsenal went out and beat PSV Eindhoven 7-1. They had like 6 defenders on the pitch and all the defenders just scored. It was crazy. No one anticipated it. So yeah, they went over their total goals line by 5, which is just unheard of in the Champions League. It's a record-breaking result. But yeah, apart from that, we got some winners. Got a winner on the Aston Villa game. Got a winner in both teams to score in the Madrid derby. So happy with that. Hopefully get a couple more today.
Well, that's a professional tease because you've got a couple of more picks for today. You've got the floor.
Oh, well, thank you very much. The first game takes place in the Netherlands. It is Inter Milan are playing against Feyenoord. As I said on the network show yesterday, Feyenoord do deserve respect after they knocked out AC Milan in the last round. But Inter Milan are a better team than AC Milan. They were great in the group stage of the Champions League. They're flying high in Serie A. And things aren't looking good for Feyenoord right now. I was just looking at their injury list while we were waiting to come on the show, and I think they're missing their goalkeeper, 5 defenders, and 5 midfielders. So they're going to actually struggle to even put out a full 11. It's pretty bleak for Feyenoord right now. So I think Inter should win that one. -175, not the greatest set of odds. So I'm combining it with under 4.5 goals, which gives me -120. Alternatively, you could go for Inter and over 1.5 goals. That would be another way to play it if you think they're going to put a few past Feyenoord. And the other game that I'm looking at, this was a pick that both myself and Buckets agreed on, which gives me a bit of confidence. It's the Benfica versus Barcelona game, and I'm going for Lamine Yamal to either score or assist. Got +100 on that. It was 5-4 to Barcelona when these teams played each other a couple of months ago. Just loads of goals. Neither team's very good at defending. Both teams terrific going forward. So we should see another entertaining matchup. Yamal has 11 goals and 16 assists in 35 games this season. He's got the perfect skill set to exploit Benfica's defensive weaknesses. And +100, all he has to do is either score or assist. Looks like a good set of odds to me. So go for that as well.
All right. And if you have any soccer questions, Champions League questions, put them out to Martin, because he's always in the chat. We'll always kind of go at the end of the show. We'll always kind of recap maybe some of the important questions that Martin needs to verbalize. So love to see those 2 picks, Martin. Let's stay hot from yesterday. Zack Cimini, you mentioned no college basketball for you today. We do have some college basketball from Larry Hartstein and from the SportsLine picks, but Zach, you're headed to the National Basketball Association.
Yeah, I may have a college basketball pick later on today, so check out the site. Still breaking down the board. And I do see a question in the chat on regarding going to any conference tournaments here in Vegas. I like going to the Orleans Arena. It's like a little bit of an old school vibe. So the tournaments that are played there, the WAC tournament, the WCC, great fan bases that travel, in particular Gonzaga and Grand Canyon. They have that pep rally atmosphere with their band going, strobe lights, all of that. So it's a good environment there at the Orleans Arena. I'm going to take Jonas Valanciunas of the Sacramento Kings over 14.5 points. He's 10 games in now with Sacramento. He's starting to establish rhythm. 3 straight games where he scored in double figures, consistent stat line in the points department, 15 points, 15 points, and 14 points. And with Domantas Sabonis out, he's eclipsed double-figure shot attempts in consecutive games. That's the first time he's done so in a Kings uniform. And it's not just Domantas Sabonis that's a key injury for the Sacramento Kings. Malik Monk is listed questionable as well. So there's going to be shot attempts to be had for the Sacramento Kings. You look at Valanciunas, there's 4 instances this year that he scored 20 points or more. One of those instances was against the Denver Nuggets back in December. He put in 20 points and 12 rebounds with the Washington Wizards. So I foresee a 4th straight big game for Valanciunas, enough to eclipse his points prop of 14.5.
All right, we got Valanciunas over 14.5 points at it's -125. That sound right, Zach?
Yeah, it's floating around -125, -130. It's on the move up.
Okay, sounds good. That's what happens when Zach puts out a pick. Speaking of putting out picks, we've got a lot of SportsLine picks, and part of the reason is because we've got some tennis picks for you from the Indian Wells. We've got, listen, this is from our Discord, of course, Jose Honorado, who has been red hot. Kabali, or I should say Kaboli, I'm assuming is how you pronounce that. Moneyline -125. We've got Thompson moneyline -110, and Nori Nardi over 22.5 at even money. That's +100. Those are 3 picks courtesy of Jose Honorado. And then next we've got Mark Williams under 15.5 points at -125. That one is from Prop Stars. And then we're going Maryland on the road at Michigan. Maryland money line. They're getting 2.5 points, but Jason Lock-on-4 says, no, we're going to take the +115. Maryland money line is the play. That is 5 SportsLine picks for you. The SportsLine picks have been very, very good, so hopefully we can stay hot there. Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on Jose because we're getting into the Indian Wells and the Miami Open, which are on his home turf. And I posted a note in the Discord just updating because everybody knows he's been red hot, but we added it up. 70 and 44 over plus 33 units or so since the Discord launched just a few months ago. And those aren't the only picks. He's got 5 or 6 in the Discord right now, plus futures picks for this tournament.
Yeah, there was somebody in the chat earlier, Larry, that said they love the Discord, they love Jose, and they love that futures are being talked about, the tennis futures as well. And of course, across all the SportsLine channels, you're going to see a lot of conversation when it comes to bets that day and futures as well. Some comments from the chat. Joe Neuenfeld says, I got to tell my boss no meetings today. Too many CBS sports shows. I think your boss is going to understand. Let us know how that works out, Joe. Really appreciate you locking in at 10, at 10:30, at 1:30, at 3:30. Turn your notifications on because we've got a lot coming, not just today, but the rest of the way leading into MLB season, March Madness, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, you name it, we've got it. If you want to take any of these picks, I recommend you go to BetMGM, and we've got that first bet offer plus the free subscription still alive. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, sign up now, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM, plus a 1-year free subscription to SportsLine with bonus code SportsLine1500. Get exclusive members-only picks for all major sports and proven models and 40-plus Vegas experts plus predictive tools for pick 'em brackets, player stats, and more. Get this offer in 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sports app and register an account using bonus code SportsLine1500. Make your first deposit of at least $10. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Claim your free 1-year subscription to SportsLine in your BetMGM inbox. It's that easy. And I'm going to try to make a golf pick early tomorrow morning easy. We got to get to some more college basketball picks. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Who's in? Who's out? Let the madness begin. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Before we get into my pick, Martin Green, I know there's a lot of chatter regarding Champions League, and I know you're in the chat, but for those that are listening to the podcast and aren't privy to that conversation, anything you need to verbalize it. It sounds like there's a lot of picks where the chat and you are on the same page.
Yeah, there are indeed, Sia. I gave out picks for 2 of the 4 Champions League games taking place today. The others are PSG versus Liverpool in Paris and an all-German game between Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. A lot of love for Liverpool. I think they should get a result against PSG, although PSG have been in terrific form right now. I'm on Mohamed Salah to either score or assist in that game. Same bet as Yamal for Barcelona. You get minus 110 on Salah to score or assist. He has 25 goals and 17 assists in just 28 league games this season. He's odds-on favourite to win the Ballon d'Or as the world's best player. He's unstoppable right now, so that looks like a good bet. And for the Leverkusen-Bayern Munich game, I went for Bayer Leverkusen plus 0.5. So that pays out if they either win or draw the game. They're unbeaten in their last 6 games against Bayern Munich. And Buckets is a big Bayern Munich fan, and even he's going for that bet too. So there's not a lot of confidence in the Bayern Munich camp right now. So, yeah, I think Leverkusen could get a result there.
All right. How about Ramo's question here?
Yeah, I mean, Dembele has just been sensational for PSG in recent weeks. If anyone's going to score for them, it's going to be him or Bradley Barcola. Dembele's been playing as a false 9 quite a lot without a full centre forward, so he should get plenty of chances. Liverpool are a little bit lax defensively, so yeah, I'd say that looks like a good bet too.
All right. And I noticed Dave Clark had some picks in the chat, among others. A lot of soccer cappers in the chat. Steve Volkert says Texas Tech minus 17.5 and Wisconsin minus 6.5. So we got a lot of potential picks that you can take. Here's a pick from me. I'm going to keep it short. A round 1 head-to-head. I've got Jacob Bridgman over Brian Campbell. Again, not household names. If you saw me on HQ on Sunday, you know I had Jacob Bridgman in a matchup, and he went absolutely ballistic. He was versus Vincent Whaley there. Forgive me, I should have put that in the SportsLine Discord. It was a busy Sunday morning with the live show we have on the Early Wedge there as well. But Bridgman is one of those guys that actually really, I thought, was outfitted well for last week's course and is in this week's course too. And it's mostly because of the mid to long iron play where Jacob Bridgman really has the edge over a lot of players, including Brian Campbell. Now, Bridgman is not a great player. He's not a guy that's going to win this tournament, but last week he did come in second place. So I do think Brian Campbell, who just won, he won 2 weeks ago, I just don't think he's outfitted for this particular tournament. He's very short off the tee. The off the tee metrics, very bad for him. He's good around the green. He's certainly got some upside. He's good on approach, but I think Bridgman is a better course fit. So round one head to head, I'm taking Bridgman minus 115 over Brian Campbell. By the way, if you watch the early wedge, you already know what my outrights are, my first round leaders, but I will publish some more first round leaders for the Puerto Rico Open and some outrights for the Puerto Rico Open. I'll put those in the Discord. I'll probably tweet some of that out as well. So stay tuned for that. We've got 2 competing events, the API and then the alternate event, the Puerto Rico Open. Larry, we've got small conference tournament season upon us, and we're talking about teams right now, or at least you're talking about teams right now that some people haven't even necessarily heard of. So go ahead, let us know who we betting on today.
Well, Sia, you're looking at a guy that is coming off a brutal 0-4 night where I had 4 terrible reads. Like, I don't think any of my games really had a legit shot to cash. Now, I should point out that follows a 24-4 run that I had. So it was a big crash for me last night. Needed to refocus, and I think I dialed in on a couple of games. Got a little bit greedy last night, but let's start with the Loyola Ramblers out of Chicago, laying 5 against a Davidson team that has just been very mediocre to poor most of the year. They've only won 1 of their last 5. That was against the last place team in the A10. Loyola Chicago, 7 straight wins at home. They have a guard, Jaden Dawson, shooting over 50% from 3 over his last 6 games. They've taken out some top teams at home. The only loss was to VCU, which is obviously the best team in the conference. So I like the Ramblers. I laid the 5 in Chicago. And then this is a game I will be at tonight. It's only a couple of miles from where I'm sitting. It's the first round of the Northeast Conference. It's a quarterfinal. FDU hosting Stonehill and laying 2.5. And here's the thing. They beat them by 13 6 days ago. That was at home. They also beat them by 11 on the road. So when this opened at 2.5, to me, that is a mistake. This should be 4, 4.5, something like that, because when these teams played last week, the line was 3.5. It's in the same exact arena. This is not a neutral site. I'm going there. My son's going there. His friend is going there. We are going to be loud. We are going to provide the home atmosphere. This arena only seats 1,800, and we're going to will this bet to victory.
I don't know about willing the bet. I mean, you are the home court advantage, are you not? You said 1,800. I don't know if that place is going to be full. Probably not. But correct me if I'm wrong. You're going to represent 2 or 3 of the crowd in there. I mean, you could really get behind the team and affect the score, I think, just by cheering.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's not going to be like a packed atmosphere. From what I'm seeing, in the highlights of the previous FDU games, this is a tournament, so maybe there's a little bit more juice, but still plenty of tickets available. But we are going to be loud cheering on those nights.
Larry is the 12th man, says Danny Brasco in the SportsLine account, saying Larry is going to try and personally impact the spread. He should live stream. That is a great comment. Send us a video of you being loud. That's actually, that could be kind of fun. Joe Neuenfeld. Eric David, this is an interesting comment, which I think I can parlay with the 3:30 show that we're going to have with the MLB futures. It's our second MLB futures show. You're going to want to watch them all, I promise you. Eric David says, amazing how many people like me, perhaps knew nothing about soccer before SportsLine, Martin and buckets. Now I live for betting, watching afternoon games on my second screen while I work. And I see the smile on your face, Martin Green. But when we were doing the first MLB Futures show last Wednesday, Mike McClure, who of course was on that and will be on this one today, reminded us that with MLB season comes afternoon games. And he actually gave out some nuggets about what to look for early in certain afternoon games, particularly at Wrigley Field and some of these other stadiums, and the left-handed versus right-handed pitching. I mean, he was really going into the weeds. But not only are we going to have soccer afternoon games, Martin, but we're going to have MLB right around the corner and be betting those games and hopefully cash some tickets by the time we hit 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. Martin, but that's a nice compliment. Not only are you giving out bets, but you are like educating people enough to want to watch soccer and be involved more than they ever thought they would be.
No, I love that comment from Eric. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Great supporter of myself and Buckets and of the show. That's what we live for. That makes it all worth it. So I'm really glad we could spread the love. And yeah, I believe soccer is the fourth most popular sport in America these days, ahead of ice hockey. So could maybe overtake baseball one day, but maybe not quite yet. But yeah, looking forward to that time of year where I'm always on alongside various baseball handicappers. And yeah, we're still breaking down soccer games 12 months of the year. So that never stops. So you never get rid of this face.
Fair enough. Zach, can I ask you something? Because we did have the SportsLine pick. And again, I'm not asking for an official pick, but it was interesting. JLC had Michigan losing to Maryland, Michigan at home. Now, this line is 2.5. Of course, Michigan is laying those points. Do you have an opinion on that game either way? It does feel like and I haven't looked at this game, it does feel like the public would probably be on Michigan. Maybe it's a good time to take Maryland. Do you have an opinion one way or the other?
I just think anytime a streak comes to an end, as we've seen with Michigan, all those close games, I think it was 9 games, they won by 4 points or less. They had their home streak come to an end against Michigan State, now blown out by Illinois. I just think anytime that happens towards the end of the season, you keep riding that reverse wave. So I would take Maryland as well.
All right. Absolutely love to see it. Mike McClure says 13 days until MLB in Tokyo. I guess that's where opening day is. That's actually news to me. What is that, 1 game or a 2-game series out there? And then they're going to have like the real opening day a couple of days later. I should probably be up on that before we get to that 3:30 live stream. Again, I want to remind you before we get to the recap screen, stay on this channel because at 10:30, me and Rick are going to be talking about some of our best bets, some of your best bets, some of your questions, whatever you've got for us. We're going to address on this 10:30 live stream. So it is really a viewer participation live stream more than it is anything else. So make sure you join us, stay on this channel. Really appreciate all the participation from everybody. You saw the schedule. Not only do we have the 10:30 live stream, we got the 1:30 with Nagel and Gipper's picks and Brasco. That's going to be really great. And then the 3:30 show that we've already addressed. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I got a lot of picks. I've got my Jacob Bridgman pick. It's a head-to-head matchup over Brian Campbell. That's -115. The reason I'm giving it out today is because this one starts, I believe, right around 8 in the morning. This is one of the first groups to go out. It might even be earlier than 8 in the morning. So you got to get this pick in today. Larry Hartstein, FDU -2.5. He's going to be at that game. He's going to affect the spread just from cheering. That's -108. Loyola Chicago -5. That's -110. Both of those from Larry Hartstein. Jonas Valanciunas over 14.5 points. That's from Zack Cimini. It's -125. And then Martin Green, Inter money line. I almost said Inter Milan. Inter money line and under 4.5 at -120. And Yamal to score or assist at even money. Okay, we've got SportsLine picks. A lot in tennis. Caboli, money line, -125. Thompson, money line, -110. Nordy Nardi, over 22.5 at +100. And then Prop Stars has given us Mark Williams under 15.5 points at -125. And Maryland money line, that's from JLC at +115. Well, a lot more content to go, so I hesitate to say goodbye, but I will say that on behalf of Larry, on behalf of Zach, on behalf of Martin Green, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, it's been a great start to the Wednesday, and we're going to continue to power through with all of our shows. Hopefully, you can join us, but for now, we rest our case.